Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with Alex and Ryan. Yesterday, Yankees pull out another 4-2 victory, 2 out of 3 against the Braves. So pretty decent start to the second half of the season, but obviously everyone's talking about the trade deadline, and we have a lot of comments specifically about Spencer Jones. So we wanted to do a whole episode just breaking down Spencer Jones and what he's been doing in AAA so far. The metrics are almost hard to believe. When you look at his profile, it doesn't really make sense. Like, he's one of the worst when it comes to whiffs, one of the worst when it comes to strikeouts, but he's one of the best, and not even arguably, he is in elite territory with his slugging percentages in the minor leagues. So we'll talk to you about the underlying metrics there, why there are concerns, why there are prayers and hopes that he could be a superstar. This is a guy that we've been talking about for years. If you've been a friend of the podcast and you've been watching for quite some time, we've been on the Spencer Jones train for 2-3 years now. So before even really anyone knew about him, now he's this big name. He's dominating the minors, and obviously he's going through the hottest stretch of his life. So Ryan, we'll dive into let's dive into the part where we don't want to trade him first. I know a lot of people don't want to move him at all, and there was a report yesterday that came out that the Yankees had discussed a couple different players with the Diamondbacks, and Jones wasn't involved. So in your opinion, so far, what has Spencer Jones done this year to prove to you that he can be a Yankee outfielder for the future, he can be a piece on this roster, and that you don't necessarily want to trade him?
Yeah, so I think the argument here is very much rooted in what he's done in AAA. Not to say what he did in AA wasn't impressive. Hit a 954 OPS down there, 984 OPS down there, and was very impressive. 16 home runs and under 50 games played there. Looked really good in Somerset. But what you would also point out is that he was a repeat player. He had repeated that level from last year. He spent all of last year in AA. So I understand why scouts were very skeptical of whether Spencer Jones would be capable of producing at the AAA level. The Yankees promoted him. They challenged him, and I'm using that in quotation marks because Alex, AAA has not been a challenge for Spencer Jones. He has 10 home runs, 20 RBIs, a 426 batting average, a 941 slugging percentage. That is good for a 1.422 OPS and a 255 weighted runs created plus. Their strikeout rate has come down from AA from 33.7% to 26.6%. The contact rate is up from 58.4% to 65.2%. Still bottom 10th percentile contact rates for Spencer Jones, but as you alluded to, the Yankees, if they wanted to keep Spencer Jones, this is the argument. The argument is that this is a hitter who is doing a ton of damage on contact, who is crushing the baseball, and very importantly, too, doing well against secondary pitches. I think something that a lot of people expected for Spencer Jones was that the chase rates, the inability to read spin that well would hurt him in AAA, that you'd face guys with better breaking balls, with better command of their breaking balls, more veteran pitchers who have refined breaking balls, and that he would struggle, and that hasn't been the case. He's doing damage against all kinds of pitches, and Alex, he's crushing pitches out of the zone. So when pitchers are throwing pitches outside the strike zone, Spencer Jones is still crushing them. His numbers against sliders, he has a 659 weighted on base average. If you guys want kind of simpler metrics, because I know WOBA is a little bit of a fancy term metric, he is slugging 1,000 and hitting 554 against sliders. He's hitting 625 against curveballs. He's hitting 400 against changeups, 400 against sweepers, 333 against cutters, 375 against sinkers, 364 against fastballs. The lowest slugging percentage he has on a pitch is on sweepers at 400. So, yeah, and he's hitting 400 against sweepers, to clarify. So, Alex, it doesn't matter what pitch you throw him, he's going to hit it. It doesn't matter where you throw it, he's going to hit it. It doesn't matter what kind of pitcher you are, lefty, righty, he's going to hit you. It's kind of insane. It's genuinely insane to watch him hit and see him just fling balls out to left field, demolish balls out to right field. He's been very impressive this year, but again, it does lead to question of whether that impressive nature, whether the fact that he has been so good at the minor league level, whether the fact that he could actually be a productive big leaguer serves to give the Yankees ammo to trade him or not.
Absolutely. When I watch Spencer Jones, he kind of gives me that Giancarlo Stanton effect that when he hits the ball into play, the thing is demolished. I know you saw that Stanton single off the left field wall. The thing was 115 off the bat. Right? I don't even think he got to first base by the time they hit the wall, let alone got into the glove of the outfielder. So, when you're looking at Spencer Jones, the second he puts the ball in play, the second he makes contact, that ball is flying. That's just the benefit of having a frame like his. He's a massive, was he 6'6" or something like that, 6'7"? He's a very similar frame to in size to Judge. He's 24 years old. Same time Judge also made it to the majors. In my opinion, when you're looking at Spencer Jones, this is an unfinished product. And that's kind of what I want to start with when it comes to why I don't want to trade Spencer Jones. We want to trade Spencer Jones because, well, his value might be the highest it's ever been, right? And sometimes you have to capitalize on that value to try and win now and get some extra pieces to make a push at a championship. However, Spencer Jones has elite raw power, and that will translate to the majors, right? He will be one of the best pure power hitting players in the league, just based on his power metrics alone. With that being said, if he can even gradually, over the next 7 years, inch forward with his whiff rates, inch forward with his strikeout rates, the way Judge did over time, and maintain those slugging percentages, he is going to be a very good star ball player. Like, he is going to be a great ball player. And he can be a great defensive player, too, with good base running qualities and, just overall solid, balanced attributes. So, Ryan, that's kind of my primary take when it comes to Spencer Jones and why I think trading him would be a mistake, is because we're talking about him as if he's a finished product, when in my opinion, he's far from that. And the fact that he's far from that and already has elite slugging metrics across the board, if he can just gradually improve, you look at the side-by-side kind of fundamentals of his swing compared to Judge, they're very similar. If he continues, if he gets to the majors, and he has Judge to watch, and Judge to listen to, and Judge to follow around like a puppy to figure out how he does the little things, how he improved his plate discipline, there is a superstar buried in there. There is a star player buried in Spencer Jones, and they're excavating right now, man. They're chipping away. They're finding different fossils. They're finding the whole puzzle here. Eventually you're gonna find a freaking whole dinosaur. That's my biggest fear. And I'm just whipping out analogies right now, so apologies, but I think that was a pretty good one. I think that, for the most part, this is an unfinished product that's already flashing elite metrics in several categories. For that reason, I don't necessarily want to trade Spencer Jones, and I don't think the Yankees should. I think they can get the players they need without moving him personally. The Diamondbacks don't want outfielders. They want pitching, right? Cam Schlittler was the guy that I think you mentioned yesterday, Ryan, in your tweet. Some MLB reporter, Ricardo or something like that.
Ricky Ricardo, yeah, he's the Spanish radio voice for the Yankees on WFAN. So, Again, take that for what you will, but that was his words.
Okay, so this is what Ricky Ricardo said, that the Yankees have a 5-player package on the table with the Diamondbacks to get a whole bunch of players, including Suarez, plus pitching. In return, Jalen Beeks, and I think Merrill Kelly was the other one. So you're looking at a situation where the Yankees don't have to give up Spencer Jones, don't have to give up George Lombard Jr. The guy that was headlining the prospective deal that was reported was Cam Schlittler. And guys, I'm okay giving up Cam Schlittler. I'm okay. And the reason I say that is, yeah, his velocity is awesome. It absolutely is. But this is a guy that just rose through the minor league system in a year. You know what I mean? He just had a meteoric rise. We've seen players like that before, and then they regress. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if he did hit some sort of regression at some point. And the fact that he's throwing triple-digit fastballs, it honestly scares me with his arm. He already is dealing with some bicep issue. You know what I mean? That sometimes you got to be a little bit sell high for guys that just came out of nowhere. Spencer Jones has been a project in the making for a long time. They've been working on him for a long time. So, I think that I'd rather move Schlittler than Spencer Jones personally. But, Ryan, what is your opinion on the fact that Jones is not a finished product? In fact, he's going to get to the majors, and it might take 4 or 5 years for him to get to that star-level status. But if he gets there and he becomes a tremendous piece in the Bronx where he's going to leverage that short right porch with improving plate discipline over time, I think, that's not a crazy thought. I think that maybe it's not probable, but I think that if he gets to that point, we would regret trading him now. So I think I want to get your opinion really on the fact that Jones is still developing, and there are parts of his game that if they do improve, he could be a star.
Yeah, look, so in my opinion, I do find myself being a little more reluctant to trade upper-level minor league pitching depth like Cam Schlittler because of the lack of starters the Yankees have in a starting pitching market that is rather uninspiring. I think Merrill Kelly is going to be the best pitcher traded, and that, I'm not saying, I like Merrill Kelly, but I understand if people view him as more of a number 3, maybe a very good number 4 starter. I view him as a 2 to 3, but again, I understand I'm high on him. There's not much better outside of that. Zach Gallen, don't trust him. Edward Cabrera, that's going to cost you a lot more than you think. I don't really know who else is even going to be available. So, Mitch Keller, I know is a name out there, but I consider Merrill Kelly better than Mitch Keller. Point is, I would prefer to trade lower level minor league pitching depth, and I would even say might even be more willing to trade Spencer Jones and Cam Schuttler in the right kind of deal. Now, as it pertains to Spencer Jones, one point that is also important here to note is that there is a big difference between someone who has a lot of raw power and someone who has a lot of game power. I kind of delved into this in my article today. Raw power and game power are different because raw power is just your exit velocities, how hard you hit the ball, et cetera, et cetera. It does not take into account launch angle, whether you pull the ball, hit it the other way. It doesn't factor in slugging percentage. So, for example, a guy like Yandy Diaz has probably 70 grade, 75 grade raw power, but he does not have 70 to 75 grade raw game power. You could argue his game power, his productivity in terms of the power department is actually below average. He's had, I think, 120 home run season. You could argue he's a 40 game power guy or a 45 game power guy. Spencer Jones in previous seasons was 70 to 80 grade raw power with 45 to 55 grade game power, like slightly below average to slightly above average, somewhere in that range. It was pretty mediocre. Now we're seeing him go from that to he's got 80 grade game power. He's got he has the highest slugging percentage, the highest isolated power, and the most home runs in minor league baseball. That's 80 grade, the best of the best. He is the best of the best in terms of hitting for power now. Does someone like that have the ability to overcome the probably being the biggest strikeout artist in the big leagues when he gets there? Can he overcome that with that power? And I know Joey Gallo's kind of the comp you could throw out there. I know that's not going to sit well with Yankee fans, so I'll throw another comparison to kind of make you guys feel a little better. I think Matt Wallner of the Minnesota Twins is a perfect comparison here. Matt Wallner of the Minnesota Twins had over 160 games played in AAA before he finally stuck in the big leagues in 2024. It also should be noted, his debut year, he was 24 years old. He was 24 years old when he made, 25 years old. No, 24 years old when he made his big league debut, 24. And that was for a bad Twins team, a Twins team that finished below 500. He didn't get regular playing time until 2023, his age 25 season. That follows kind of the aging curve of Spencer Jones here. He's 24 right now. He just turned 24 a few weeks ago. Kind of fitting the same timeline here. Matt Wallner, he was 24 all year, that year. So you could even argue that Jones is a little bit ahead of him in terms of the age curve here. And the last thing I'd like to note in regards to Matt Wallner, he struck out a ton. He struck out 33% of the time in his big league career. He has an 834 career OPS. Alex, if the Yankees got an 834 OPS out of Spencer Jones as a center fielder, who he has 16 steals this year, he's probably going to steal 20 bags, 25 bags a year in his rookie deal when he gets to the big leagues, if he gets enough playing time. That is a very valuable baseball player. I just described a 4 to 5 WAR player. 830 OPS, center field, pretty good center field defender, good speed. That's a 4 to 5 WAR player. That kind of player is very hard to find on the market. Very hard to find on the market. You don't just find them out of nowhere. Now, am I saying he's going to be that player? No, but is that possible for him? Absolutely. And for the Yankees, and I got a comment, and I think this is so perfectly worded. This is the most important self-evaluation the Yankees have probably ever had. Because you have a guy who could either be a complete non-big leaguer, like someone who cannot play big league baseball, Estevan Florial-like, or you have a budding star at a premium position for cheap. And you have to figure out whether you're going to trade that because you don't think they're a big leaguer, or whether you're going to keep that because you think they could be a star. And if Brian Cashman gets it wrong, I'm not going to blame him. I think this is a very hard thing to get right, but he will never hear the end of it. If he holds on to Spencer Jones, and he doesn't become good, people are going to say, even though everyone's saying don't trade him, the narrative is going to become Brian Cashman held on to another prospect for too long. He could have traded Spencer Jones for Dylan Cease, for this guy, for that guy, for Corbin Burns, et cetera, et cetera. And if he doesn't hold on to him and he trades him, and Spencer Jones becomes that 800 OPS center fielder hitting 30 home runs a year, and the Yankees don't win the World Series, Alex, what is everyone going to say? They traded away a star. Look at the Yankee. They can't identify good talent, except all that stuff. With what degree of confidence can you say that Spencer Jones is going to be a bust? And to what degree of confidence can you say Spencer Jones is going to be a star? Because I can't do either, and I don't know I can't do either with a high degree of confidence, and I've never seen a prospect where I felt that way about. I can't. This is the most perplexing prospect I've ever evaluated. Alex, I don't know how you feel on that sense, but this is the most confusing prospect I've ever evaluated.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people feel the same way, and that's why it's hard to kind of determine what his value is right now, and why we've had so many questions and comments about it. But I will say this: if he is an unfinished prospect, and this is certainly true because every prospect who hasn't made an MLB debut yet is certainly unfinished. If he can even get to the 10th to 15th percentile, right now he's in the first percentile in whiff rate, like second percentile in strikeout rate, which, by the way, has been improving lately, the strikeout numbers. So if he can even get to the 10 or 15th, that is an astronomical different than where he is right now. If he could even just get slightly better with his play discipline and maintain his raw end game power, you're going to see an elite player emerge from this kind of shell. The Yankees have the perfect stadium to unlock it. Look, just the roundabout kind of conversation right now is that I do not want to trade Spencer Jones, but if Spencer Jones's value is so high right now for other teams that they're willing to give us really solid value that can help us win a chip now, I think that's worthwhile exploring. You know what I mean? It just comes down to value. But I don't think selling Jones for Suarez straight up on a rental deal, I don't think I would do that personally. That's just my opinion, because I do think that long-term Jones has the upside to be amazing, but I think you don't need to trade Jones to get Suarez is what I'm trying to say. Like, you don't necessarily need to move. Like, they're not going to be like, it's Jones or nothing. They want pitching. So, like, I think we can get Suarez, get Merrill Kelly without having to trade Spencer Jones. So, like, that's a good thing for us. But with that being said, I'll ask you this, Ryan, as the last kind of piece of the puzzle here. What is Spencer Jones' role if the Yankees do end up promoting him next year to the majors and say, all right, like, now's your chance, you're ready, we're going to give you the Dominguez treatment, like, you're getting a lot of length here to prove yourself. Are you having him and Dominguez battle it out defensively in left field? You know what I mean? Like, as the fourth outfielder, could you put? I mean, obviously, Dominguez is better lefty, and I mean, Jones essentially could replace Trent Grisham's role. Maybe Jason Dominguez ends up filling the Trent Grisham role long term, and obviously minus the really good defense. But how would you look into the future and say, what is Jones' role if the Yankees decided you are going to be a part of this outfield, and let's say Bellinger or they sign Kyle Tucker, it doesn't really matter because both of them are in the mix.
And I think what I would do is, if he comes up, you got to play him every day. I think that's kind of the way you look at it. Barring like a situation where you have this year where you have like Grisham, Bellinger, Dominguez all hitting. Obviously Aaron Judge is going to play every day. Ben Rice is a good DH. Stanton's really hitting. So like you kind of have that log jam there. In that scenario, I understand that not happening. But if you give Spencer Jones, you call him up to be a starting player. You bring him up to play as much as humanly possible. And I think that's the role he would have if he came up. Now, I kind of want to put this out here because I was looking at a little bit of data while you were talking, because it's something you said kind of spurred this for me. I looked at this is a stat called expected weighted on base average on contact. That's basically damage output, right? So the guys who have had the highest ever, Aaron Judge, literally a bunch of Aaron Judge years and a Joey Gallo year, a Giancarlo Stanton year, like another Joey Gallo year and a Miguel Sano year. Like that's pretty much that. It's only since 2015 because that's when StatCast started. That kind of makes sense, right? It's Judge, Stanton, Judge, Gallo, Ohtani's in the top 15. Like that makes sense. If you want to look at where Spencer Jones is expected weighted on base average on contact this year between AA and AAA would rank, right now, there's like an estimated version of it because there's no public StatCast data in AA. And if you combine it with the actual one he has in AAA, it's 582. That would be the highest non-Judge mark, I believe, ever. Minimum 250 plate appearances. That is unbelievable. That is unfathomable. That is a level of damage contact that I'm going to be honest with you, Alex, we have quite literally never seen outside of Aaron Judge. This guy has Aaron Judge-esque power. And I'll also say, because I think it's important to note here, I don't believe that StatCast, no, they do. They have updated it for yesterday, but I don't believe that estimate for AA is 100% accurate, which is important. If you just want to look at his AAA, it's 613. Again, a mark only surpassed by Aaron Judge and one Joey Gallo year where he had like 290 plate appearances. This guy is putting up Judge-level raw power. No one hits the ball harder outside of like Judge, Stanton, and a Gallo year. He swings and misses a lot. He does. That's going to be an issue. But can he make it work? I think he can. Like the Matt Wallner comp I threw out there. He's got more power than Matt Wallner. Way more juice in the bat than Wallner. He's got Gallo and Judge level power. He's got Gallo level whiffs. But I also say for Jones, he plays center field. Gallo doesn't play center field. A lot of the guys who like profile in this are first base, DH types. Like they wouldn't play every day if they were even a league average hitter. Spencer Jones would because he's a center fielder. Very different. It's very different. So again, it's Alex. I don't really know. I don't know what I'd do with Spencer Jones. I've before if you told me this like I don't know April 1st, hey Ryan, you trading Spencer Jones for Eugenio Suarez, I'd be like, sign me the hell up. And even right now, I'd say hard thought. I'd think about it. I think I'd do it. But it's a hard thought. I think I'd do it, and it's something I wouldn't want to have to be the GM who makes that decision. I'd love to be the fan who can just sit back, be wrong about it, and then not lose my job over it. You know?
Listen, the reason I'm not trading Spencer Jones is because I'm terrified we're going to watch the whole Caleb Durbin thing happen again. And not to say Devin Williams isn't good, because he's been a lot better recently despite the home run yesterday. But if Nestor Cortez stayed healthy this year and he put together a 4 ERA, which is reasonable for him, and they had Caleb Durbin doing what he's doing now, I think I'd go back in time and revert that trade. You know what I mean? And knowing what happened to the rotation, hindsight's 2020, obviously. But I'd go back and revert that trade and probably just go and try to acquire a different closer, whatever it might have been. But the Yankees, if Jones ends up becoming a star, they'll have given away 2 premium level starters in 1 year. You know what I mean? Via trade. So that scares me a little bit. Jones has the upside to be elite. And that's kind of where I draw the line. I'm like, all right, Caleb Durbin, he'll be a good ball player. He'll never be, most likely, an elite ball player. So, all right, at least you can draw the line there. Spencer Jones could be an elite baseball player. You know what I mean? He could be a superstar level outfielder. That's where I'm like, I can't do that for if he had limitations, his power was maybe 70th percentile. He hit the ball hard, but it wasn't insane. And his defense, he wasn't that good of an athlete. I'd be like, yeah, trade him, whatever. I'm fine with that. But this guy has the underlying metrics that if he gets his discipline, he improves over time, could be an elite baseball player. That's where I'm like, I can't do that for a rental. I can't do that for a rental for an elite ball player. So that's where I come to a crossroads in my own head. If I'm general manager Brian Cashman and the time they've invested in Jones and the results they're seeing now from that time invested, if they behind the scenes feel like what they fixed is legit, if what they fixed is real, then the upside is there for him to be truly insane. And listen, all you need to do is, look, these streaky hitters, they go through hot and cold stretches, right? Judges did it in the past, but obviously the last couple of years have just been consistently amazing. But Stanton, he goes through them, but he had that huge hot stretch in the playoffs. We see it's not unusual for batters to go through cold and hot. Bellinger was cold to start the season. Now he's been amazing. But if Jones is a little bit inconsistent, a little volatile, but when he's hot, he's belting a home run every other day, and he's getting on base, and his strikeout number, if he's a 27% strikeout guy and he's hitting 30 plus home runs a year, I'm fine with that. I am so fine with that, because Joey Gallo was a 35 plus percent strikeout guy, and he was not very good for us. And the best version of him, I think Jones can be a lot more consistent long term. I don't think the profile is similar just because of the power, lefty, there's a lot of similarities there. But I think that this is a very unfinished player, and we know him. He told us his work ethic. He broke it down for us. This dude's he wants it, and he wants it badly. So, I do think that I crossed the line that this guy could be a superstar, and I can't muster the courage to trade him for a rental. However, if there was more value and more control and different situation, yeah, I would definitely consider it. But for a rental, I don't think I can pull the trigger personally. But that's not my decision. Fortunately, Brian Cashman has to make that choice. But Ryan, before we go, I just want to read you the dumbest thing I ever seen on social media. I don't know if you saw this Jim Bowden article, but I need to read it to you because it's actually like,
please
someone
do it.
hit him with a brick before he wrote this, because this is insane to me. So he says, all right, the Yankees are prioritizing starting and relief pitching along with potentially an upgrade at third base. Makes sense. Ryan, you talked about these yesterday, like pitching is the need. They are expected to use prospects to land the pitching help and outfield depth for a contender-to-contender type of trade for upgrade at third base. They'd like to acquire an impact starter if possible, but if not, a back-of-the-rotation arm along with a high-leverage reliever would suffice. In terms of third base, they've been linked to Eugenio Suarez of the Diamondbacks, but there is concern about his defense, which is notable. He's a better defender than Jazz in the hot corner, at the very least, if that makes a difference. Other possible third base trade targets include Royals All-Star Michael Garcia, which don't think that's going to happen based on the bad blow between the two sides. Garcia and Jazz and Volpe specifically. In theory, Kansas City would have interest in one of the Yankees outfielders to play left fielder for them. Maybe, this is where it gets freaking absolutely, did not see this meth-induced rant coming. Maybe there's even a deal to be had with the Crosstown Mets, who could offer Mark Vientos for Jason Dominguez or Cody Bellinger, or perhaps Brett Batty for Trent Grisham. There just aren't a lot of sellers at this trade deadline, so GMs will have to get blah, 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 blah.
What? Did you say, wait, I saw the Brian Hayes thing.
Mark Vientos for Jason Dominguez or Cody Bellinger.
Look, Brett Baty's not a bad player, but I'm not doing that.
Man. Whatever the hell Jim Bowden did this morning, I need some of that in my life, because that was...
Brett Baty would be an upgrade for the Yankees at third base. I want to clarify that. Like, I do, he's a good player. He's not a great player, but he's good.
He's a solid player. Streaky,
good
solid.
Swing
He's
decisions.
average this year. He's fine.
But you also, here's kind of a couple of things that kind of matter here. Number one, he can't play against lefties. He's a platoon hitter. Like, the Mets have not let him be a full-time third baseman. He is a platoon guy, which again is an upgrade over what you have. Mark Vientos has a negative 0.5 WAR, he's hitting 221 with a 275 on base and a 352 slug. And the portion of him going, maybe you could maybe trade Cam Schlittler for Brian Hayes. What? You trade a top 100 prospect for 4 years of Brian Hayes with back issues, and his OPS looks like he's OPSing like I think he has a lower OPS than Yorbit Vivas. Am I wrong on that? I have to double check that. He has a lower WRC plus. I think his OPS might be a little bit lower. I think they have the same OPS. Why would I trade for guaranteed money of Yorbit Vivas? And I get it, he's a great defender, but like, I wouldn't trade a top 100 prospect for that. I'd kind of need them to give me something.
I was gonna say, they'd have to give me
give me Bednar. Then I'll give you like maybe I'll give you Rafael Flores. You know, maybe I'll give you Griffin Herring.
I'd rather just take IKF at that point.
You give me Bednar, IKF, and Brian Hayes, and then maybe you might get a guy who's like in the back end of the top 10. I guess Flores, I have him in my top 10, but point is, he's a catcher, so like, not to say that I don't care about catchers, but I think you and I would like overpay trading a catcher away.
Just because we churn out catchers every day.
In 2 years, we'll find out that like some dude in Somerset is mashing and
give him JC Escara. We're fine.
Yeah. But dude, point is like, what is this guy smoking? What is he smoking? Seriously,
good stuff, man. That is good stuff. Good stuff.
I said in this show, I'm glad I'm not in a position where my opinion on Spencer Jones and whether he gets traded or not and what I would trade him for won't get me fired. But Alex, I think you're kind of in the control of this. If I ever put out an article suggesting Cam Schlittler for Brian Hayes, I think I would get fired. I think that's the fireable one, right? That's the one where suddenly Ryan Garcia isn't on Fireside Yankees anymore. But like that is one of the worst proposals I've ever seen.
Jason Dominguez for or Cody Bellinger for Mark Vientos. Bellinger's our best hitter behind Judge right now.
Dominguez,
our best offensive player behind Judge. What
for Mark Vientos too? Like, this is Jesus
Mark
Christ.
Vientos is a very bad defensive player. Very bad.
He can't hit
negative
right now.
8. Negative 8 DRS and negative 8 outs above average over 386 innings. He's a worse third baseman than Dominguez is a left fielder by far. You know what I mean?
Is his 2024 not just the outlier year now? Like, It's the outlier year. His big 2024 year is the
you
outlier.
Have 3 years of sample, and one of them is a great year, and he was a bad defender last year too. To be fair, I mean, how much more does Dominguez have right now? He has
0.7.
0.7.
So he's worth 1.2 more WAR. Dude, Mark Vientos has played so in roughly a season's worth of innings, which is around 1,200 the last 2 years. Negative 14 DRS, negative 14 outs above average. At that point, go slap a third base glove on Ben Rice. Like, just go give him a third base glove.
I'd also like to point out that Dominguez is 3 years younger than Mark Vientos,
and has more years of control
and more years. So Vientos is a free agent in 2030, and Dominguez is a free agent in 2031. So there's one extra year of control there, but it's also like Dominguez is for a better player, and Dominguez is also just like not done developing yet. Like, he's a kid. He's 22. I think people forget that Dominguez is so young because they treat him like he's a 27-year-old like seasoned player. I'm like, this dude is he's already a very good offensive player, probably the best leadoff hitter on this team, to be honest with you at times. So I don't know. That was I just had to read that off because I saw that and I was like, am I reading that right? Because Mark Vientos blows, and Brett Batty also kind of blows in a lot of respects. So like,
that's awful.
Bellinger for Vientos really made my scratch my head. I was like, I get that he's like technically a rental unless he picks up his player option, but like, he's our best offensive player right now behind Judge. You know what I mean? Like, you give him away for Vientos, like, you're getting worse by far.
Where are you going to get that defense? Like, Grisham's not a terrible defender, but he's not Bellinger defensively. Bellinger's the better defender. Bellinger has a 127 WRC plus, 17 home runs. Like, this guy might put up 4.5. He has a chance, an outside chance to get 5 WAR. A 5 WAR year. Yeah, I'm not trading that, man. No, I'm not trading
for a negative WAR guy right now. Like, what the hell are you talking about here?
Oswald Peraza has been better than Mark Vientos this year. Am I wrong on that? I might be wrong on that. One might be a stretch. Oswald Peraza might actually have
crazy, by the way.
Oswald Peraza has negative 0.5 WAR in 66 games.
Same amount of games.
Mark Vientos has Mark Vientos is Oswald Peraza-ing, and we're like, oh yeah, like this is
literally like asking to trade for Cody Bellinger for Oswald Peraza. This is the level of, and by the way, actually,
and they have the same years of control.
It might be even worse because one of them at least is an elite defender.
They're the same age, same years of control, same WAR, same games played, basically. What I get it. Again, I get it. Vientos is obviously more valuable in the trade market than Oswald Peraza because the upside. Yeah. But like, no, like, I'm not. What are we doing? God, yeah, Alex.
Stupendous.
No.
Stupendous. My goodness.
No.
Yeah. Well, in any case, if any of you guys know the dealer of Jim Bowden, I would love to get involved because the podcast might be a little bit more enjoyable if I was on whatever he's smoking, man. Crazy.
I'm 20, so as a responsible 20-year-old, Alex, I would never
touch that.
Even consider it. Ever
touch that.
It is a sin. Yeah. It's a sin. I mean, it is. I mean, it's terrible.
Some sort of new drug. Some sort of new drug among the kids. I don't know, man. But I'll tell you
Bowden. Yeah, they got smoking that fresh Bowden.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to have to call it, dude. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so let's go ahead. I might have to write an article just destroying that entire concept because I'm like actually angry about it now. But yeah, if you want to come to listen about good analysis and talk about realistic trade mock opportunities and stuff like that, I mean, you can just come to the Fireside Yankees podcast, and Jim Bowden has his sources and has had things right, wrong, whatever the rest of them. That one just felt a little bit outlandish to me, so felt it necessary to talk about. But nonetheless, always happy to hear your thoughts down below in the YouTube comment section, which I imagine will be very, very zesty in this fine Monday afternoon. Make sure to drop a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.
Perfect.